Hello, everybody. I'm going to do a fairly quick wine tasting tonight. This one is going to be kind of unique for me because, number one, I've never heard of the wine. Number two, I don't even know what type of grape is in this wine. And so it's totally unusual for me. All I can tell you is that the name of the wine is Cruiser. Cruiser, and it says it's a white wine blend from California. The vintage is 2022. The one thing that strikes me as odd about this is that it's got a very high ABV. The alcohol by volume is 14.5%, which is very high. And the fact that it's a white wine is even more unusual. There's nothing on the label that says the grape varietal in this wine. I've never heard of this wine, so I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's dry. I don't know if it's sweet. So we're going to do this together. All right, I poured a little bit here, and I'm going to have to kind of move around here to try to see it. The color is the color seems like it's a little paler than straw. It is got the golden color. It's not a particularly very light color, but it's lighter than straw. It's lighter than the wine I did last night. I'm really looking forward to this since I don't even know what type of grape this is. This could be Chardonnay base. It could be Cabernet, or I'm sorry, Sauvignon Blanc. It could be pretty much any type of white grape varietal. And again, I don't know if it's sweet or I don't know if it's dry. So we shall find out. So the viscosity's good. It's got decent legs on it. Actually, it's got very good legs on it. But at at 14.5%, it darn well better have decent viscosity because that's a pretty high alcohol percentage. All right, let's see what we got here and try this out. Well, if I didn't know any better, and if it didn't say white wine blend, I would say that this is a Sauvignon Blanc. It smells like a Sauvignon Blanc. It's got a very strong citrus nose. It's totally grapefruit and totally lemon combined together. I'm not picking up any lime. I'm not picking up any orange or anything like that. I will tell you that I would suspect it's going to be a dry wine. I'm going to have to see if I can do a little bit more research on this and try to figure out what the varietals are on this in this wine. I'm really intrigued by it. Okay, well, let's taste it and see what we have going on here. And I'm telling you, this is Sauvignon Blanc all the way. When I look this up, if I can find anything on it, I'm going to be really surprised if it's not a Sauvignon Blanc based wine. Let's give it a taste and see. It doesn't taste anything like Sauvignon Blanc. Nothing at all. Smells like it, but it doesn't taste like it. Wine I did yesterday was some obscure grape varietal. I forget what it was. But it had a nice flavor. This wine's good. It's got I don't want to say odd because odd sounds like it's bad. It's not bad. It's a different flavor of any white wine that I think I've had. I'm going to try to figure out what I think I'm tasting here. You know, I'll tell you what I think it tastes like. It tastes like a weak Granny Smith apple would taste. Now, if you bite into an old juicy Granny Smith green apple, it's going to be very tart, very citrusy in its own way, even though it's not a citrus fruit. This also kind of tastes like a Granny Smith green apple, but it doesn't have the depth and the intensity that you would get if you're chewing on a Granny Smith green apple. Yep, that's definitely what I'm picking up. It is a dry wine. Let me back up just a bit. And it's definitely a dry wine. It's got a nose that is more lemony grapefruit, like a Sauvignon Blanc, but it tastes nothing like a Sauvignon Blanc. It tastes like something that I've actually never tried before in a white wine. As I said, it tastes like a Granny Smith apple that you're eating, except it's not quite as complex or as intense as a Granny Smith apple. And again, just to recap, this is called Cruiser. It's a California white wine blend. It's got extremely high alcohol for a white wine, particularly for a white wine, but for any wine for that matter. It's 14.5% alcohol by volume. It doesn't even say who manufactures it. The label is kind of ambiguous. It just says White Wine Blend, California. Doesn't even have the vineyard that produces it. It does have a little tiny comment at the bottom that says bottled by. And it has a company that bottles wine, which would lead me to believe a couple of things that I should mention here. You might remember that I have said in the past that a wine that says California can be grapes sourced anywhere within the state of California. Your higher quality wines, let's say Napa, Sonoma, Paso Robles, Monterey County, North Coast, all of those wines, if those words appear on the label, then the grapes have to be sourced within that area. They have to be sourced within the Napa Valley, or they have to be sourced within the Sonoma region. If that's not on there and it just says California, it's what we call a generic wine. And that means that the grapes can be from anywhere in the state of California. Some people say, well, that gives you an inferior class of wine. That's not true at all. Even some of your larger, very famous producers of California wine, whether it be Josh or whether it be Bogle or some of the other names that you're familiar with, they'll have their wines that are the grapes are sourced within a specific region. But they will also have wines that say California. And what that basically means is that particular vineyard, they bought grapes from all over the state. And they bring them back and they crush them, they ferment them, and they bottle the wine. So that makes them a little different. That makes them a generic wine. There could be grapes from 5, 10 different areas around the state of California. That being said, this says California. It doesn't have any grape varietal. So this is a very generic white wine that whatever company made this wine, vinified this wine, I should say, not the bottler. I know who the bottler is. I don't know who made the wine itself. This means that they've bought these wines, or they've sourced, no, grapes. That means they've sourced these grapes from various regions around California. And the fact that it says it's a white wine blend, it could be a number of white grapes. I would say from the taste of it that it's definitely got some Sauvignon Blanc in there because of the nose. I would say it probably also has some Semillon because it has a little bit of the sweetness yet tartness that I would get with a watered down Granny Smith apple. So my guess is, and I am going to look this up if I can find something on it. My guess is that it's definitely Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon, and I would not be shocked if it even has a little bit of stainless steel fermented Chardonnay in there. It's not buttery or oaky like Chardonnay that's been aged in oak, but more crisp like things that are fermented and aged in stainless steel, which are Sauvignon Blancs, and your Semillons for that matter, are always fermented and aged in stainless steel. So anyway, I'll have to make a post on here and let you know what I can find as far as the grape varietals. I keep getting a slow connection. I'm hoping that this podcast is coming through. I made a couple of comments on the page a little bit ago. I'm thinking about doing some research on fortified wines and bubblies, and doing some research on that and doing a podcast. Some people don't even know what the term riddling means. Riddling is the turning of champagne or other bubblies or sparklers before you disgorge the must that has created or has landed in the top of the wine during the aging process. It's a very special process that does this. So it's interesting for people who don't know how to make champagne. Also, the bottle type, of course, is obviously much thicker and different than a standard wine bottle. So, and I want to talk about ports and sherries and things of that nature. So I put a comment on the Facebook page that if you're interested in that, let me know and I will research it. If you're not, if there's no interest in it, then obviously I probably won't do that. What would I pair this wine with? That's a very, very good question. Got to taste it before I can answer your question. My first go-to would be pasta with a white sauce, perhaps an Alfredo sauce. I think that this would match that probably perfectly. I would also say that this would go with a green garden salad, probably not so much with a creamy dressing like ranch, but maybe something that's more tart. Maybe like a balsamic dressing, probably not a flavored one, maybe a balsamic vinegar, for example. I'm not a big fan of Italian dressing, but I think Italian dressing on a green garden salad would probably be your best bet as far as salads on that goes. All right, well, listen, I'm going to get off of here. I had a great lunch. I went downtown doing some Christmas shopping in quaint little old Marietta, and then I decided to pop over to the Lafayette Hotel, which is my stomping grounds, so to speak. And I went in, and young little, let me think of her name, young little Amanda there. I thought she was young. I found out today that she's 29 years old. She looks about 16. She says, "Oh, you're solo today," meaning that usually when I'm in there, I have Marion with me, and Marion's not in town, so I stopped in alone, and she says, "Do you want a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc?" And I said, "No, I don't. I just want a glass of Sauvignon Blanc." Her eyebrows went up, and she says, "You've never done that before," because I usually do buy a bottle. So ultimately, I had 2 glasses of Sauvignon Blanc, and I also had the most gorgeous mixed greens garden salad that I think I've had in many, many months. It had pretty much all of your standard greens with spinach and romaine lettuce, arugula. It had grated cheese on it. It had grated carrots in there. It had sliced cucumbers next to it, and it was just an incredible salad. And so I had this big salad and 2 glasses of Sauvignon Blanc, and it was just a great afternoon. Plus, I said I was done with my Christmas shopping 2 weeks ago. Now for sure I'm done with my Christmas shopping. I did the last things. I wanted to buy a few things local. I enjoy buying things local, but the prices are so much higher. And the one woman I went in, I was looking for a specific item. She said, "I have some." And I said, "Well, let me see them, please." So she showed them to me, and I said, "That's pretty high." I said, "Actually, that's very high." And she said, "I know." And I said, "Well, I priced them out on Amazon." And I said, "You're about twice the price of Amazon." And she says, "That much, huh?" And I said, "Yes." And she says, "Well, we're small." And I said, "I understand that." And I said, "That's why I decided not to buy it on Amazon." And she was thankful for that, of course, which I try to buy most of my presents locally if I possibly can. So I ended up spending $100 plus some downtown on a couple of little things. But she was very, very thankful that I was astute enough to buy locally and not just succumb to mass production on Amazon and have it delivered to my house. So the good thing about that is she certainly doesn't know what's happening at my house tomorrow. I ordered a food dehydrator from Amazon, and so it's coming tomorrow. And I ordered a couple of other, trying to think what they are, odd little things that are coming from Amazon that they probably would not be able to find them locally. And as far as the food dehydrator, it's a pretty nice one. There's no way I'm going to find that locally. If I do find it locally, it's going to be at Lowe's, which it's another big box store. I don't think my True Value Apex hardware store would have food dehydrators, so I kind of felt like I was between a rock and a hard spot. If I wanted it, I had to buy it from Amazon. Okay, let me know about the fortified wines and the bubblies and sparklers and so forth. And if you want, I will do a little bit of a podcast on that. The other thing that I was thinking about, and I haven't put it out there, I did a short podcast a month or two ago on Louisiana wineries. I'd like to get back to doing podcasts on individual states, but it would be really nice if people would tell me, "Wayne, do it on this state," or "Wayne, do it on that state that they're familiar with." And what I would do is I would contact one of you folks that drinks wine, that goes to some of your local state wineries to get your recommendations, and I would use those as my basis for doing the research so that you would feel like you have a buy-in to the podcast on the wineries in your state. Okay, well, I'll let you go now. I got to get back to, or start, I should say, wrapping my presents, and I appreciate the folks that stopped by. I've seen a couple of people on here that stopped by to listen to this and to watch it, and I will let you go until the next time. Thanks very much, gang. I'll see you then. Bye.